Emma Parker adjusted the silver tray in her hands as she walked through the magnificent ballroom of the Royal Crest Hotel. Glittering chandeliers hung from the ceiling, elegant music floated through the air, and hundreds of wealthy guests mingled beneath golden lights. It was one of the most important nights of the year because the hotel was hosting a charity gala attended by celebrities, business executives, politicians, and investors. Emma wore the same black uniform as every other waitress, her hair neatly tied back and a polite smile on her face. None of the guests knew that she was actually the daughter of billionaire Richard Parker, the owner of the entire hotel chain. Richard had always believed that privilege meant nothing without humility. Before allowing Emma to become part of the family business, he wanted her to understand the struggles and sacrifices of ordinary workers. For nearly a year, Emma had quietly worked at the hotel, earning the respect of her co-workers through kindness and determination. Most of the staff members admired her because she never complained, even when guests treated her badly. On the other side of the ballroom stood Daniel Stone, a successful young technology CEO who had become famous for building one of the fastest-growing companies in the country. Standing beside him was his glamorous girlfriend, Vanessa Collins. Vanessa loved luxury, attention, and admiration. She had millions of followers online and constantly displayed her expensive jewelry, designer clothing, and extravagant lifestyle. As photographers surrounded the couple, Vanessa proudly smiled for every camera. Emma approached their table carrying glasses of sparkling water. "Good evening," she said politely. "May I offer you something to drink?" Vanessa looked at Emma from head to toe before raising an eyebrow. "You should be more careful around this dress," she said coldly. "It costs more than you probably earn in a year." Emma remained calm. "I'll be very careful, ma'am." Vanessa laughed quietly. "I certainly hope so." Daniel looked embarrassed by his girlfriend's behavior. "Vanessa, that's unnecessary." She shrugged her shoulders. "I'm only telling the truth." Emma placed the glasses on the table and turned to leave. At that exact moment, another guest accidentally bumped into her shoulder. A few drops of water splashed onto Vanessa's designer gown. Vanessa immediately jumped to her feet. "Look what you've done!" she shouted. The entire ballroom suddenly became quiet. Emma quickly reached for a napkin. "I'm terribly sorry. It was an accident." Vanessa slapped the napkin out of Emma's hand. "Do you know how much this dress costs?" Emma lowered her eyes respectfully. "I apologize." Vanessa stepped closer. "People like you never learn. You're careless because you know you'll never own anything valuable." Daniel stood up. "Vanessa, that's enough." Instead of listening, Vanessa grabbed Emma's sleeve. Emma attempted to pull away, but Vanessa yanked the fabric so forcefully that the side of Emma's uniform ripped apart. Gasps echoed across the room as pieces of black cloth fell onto the polished marble floor. Emma froze in disbelief while tears formed in her eyes. Vanessa folded her arms and smiled arrogantly. "Maybe that will teach you to pay attention." Daniel stared at her in horror. "Have you lost your mind?" Before Vanessa could answer, the large doors of the ballroom slowly opened. Several hotel executives entered, followed by a tall, distinguished man dressed in an elegant navy blue suit. The room instantly became silent because everyone recognized Richard Parker, one of the wealthiest men in the country. The hotel manager immediately hurried forward. "Welcome, Mr. Parker." Richard nodded politely as he looked around the ballroom. Suddenly, his eyes stopped on Emma. The smile instantly disappeared from his face when he saw her torn uniform. He walked toward her without saying a word. Vanessa stepped backward nervously as Richard approached. Looking directly at Emma, he asked quietly, "Who did this?" Emma hesitated. "It's all right, Father." Vanessa's face turned pale. "Father?" Richard placed his hand gently on Emma's shoulder. "Yes, Emma is my daughter." The entire room fell silent. Several guests stared at Emma in complete disbelief. Daniel looked equally shocked. "You're Richard Parker's daughter?" Emma nodded softly. "I didn't want anyone to know." Richard slowly turned toward Vanessa. "My daughter has worked in this hotel for 11 months. She wanted to understand the value of hard work, responsibility, and respect. Yet you humiliated her because you assumed she was unimportant." Vanessa's confidence completely vanished. "Mr. Parker, I didn't know who she was." Richard's expression remained cold. "That is exactly the problem. You believed that kindness should depend upon wealth and status." Vanessa desperately searched for words. "I made a mistake." Richard shook his head. "No. You revealed your character." Daniel stepped forward and looked at Emma with genuine regret. "I'm sorry. I should have stopped her sooner." Emma smiled sadly. "Perhaps you should have." The hotel manager immediately offered Emma his jacket, while another employee escorted her to a private room. Meanwhile, guests throughout the ballroom whispered among themselves. Some of them had spent years trying to impress Richard Parker, yet his own daughter had quietly worked among ordinary employees without demanding special treatment. A few minutes later, Richard returned to the stage. He picked up the microphone and addressed the crowd. "Success means nothing without compassion. Money can buy influence, but it cannot buy dignity, honor, or kindness. My daughter spent nearly a year working beside people who dedicate their lives to serving others. Every one of them deserves respect." The audience burst into applause. Vanessa lowered her head in shame. Daniel finally turned toward her. "I think it's time for you to leave." Tears filled her eyes. "Daniel, please." He shook his head. "The problem isn't that you ruined a dress. The problem is that you believed another human being was beneath you." Security officers quietly escorted Vanessa from the ballroom as hundreds of guests watched in silence. The following morning, videos of the incident spread across social media. Millions of people were shocked to learn that the humble waitress was actually the billionaire owner's daughter. News channels discussed the story for days, praising Emma's humility and criticizing Vanessa's cruelty. Yet Emma herself refused to celebrate the attention. She simply returned to work the following week, greeting guests with the same warm smile she had always worn. Several months later, Richard officially introduced Emma as one of the future leaders of the Parker Hotel Group. Employees from every department applauded as she stepped onto the stage. Unlike many wealthy heirs, she understood exactly how it felt to work long hours, stand on aching feet, and remain patient with difficult customers. That experience made her a different kind of leader. As for Vanessa, she learned that appearances can be deceiving and that true greatness is revealed not by how people treat the powerful, but by how they treat those who seem powerless. Emma never forgot that lesson either, and neither did anyone else who witnessed the extraordinary events of that unforgettable night.